Our focus today is drawing from a step-by-step resource. When doing this project, you have a choice of different materials. You can do it with a pencil, or you could use two different types of color pencils, one red one that's lighter, or a blue one that's a little darker. You may also want to have an eraser, for we all make mistakes, or you use the eraser that's on your pencil. A sharpener comes in handy because you will always need to sharpen and get a fine tip on your pencil because they do get dull. The resource, the most important of all the art materials. Observational drawings are just that, drawing from what we observe. Our resource here is Buford von Stommm from the cartoon Phineas and Ferb. We always want to give credit to the creator of our resource, which in this case is Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh. This will be a step-by-step observational drawing. We do not always have this luxury when we are drawing, so we want to know how to approach it. We are going to start with a light sketch for size and the basic shapes that make up the character. For this demo, I'm going to be using the two colored pencils. The red color pencil I'm going to use for light sketches and basic shapes. The blue color pencil I'm going to use for detail and bringing in contrast. How you hold the pencil is very important because the further back you hold the pencil, the lighter your sketches are going to be. So if you develop some good control as you draw more, you could hold it wherever you want in terms of closer to the tip or further back on the pencil. What I'm going to do now is lightly sketch the head and just find the central axis as well as the eye line and where the mouth's going to be. These are landmarks that I'm looking for. It's really important to map out where things are before you get too detailed. One of the biggest mistakes that artists do make is they try to get too detailed too quick. What we want to do is do this kind of a light sketching so that we have the opportunity to fix mistakes that we make. If we start from the head and we get detailed and then by the time we get to the feet we're off the page, then that means we have to start over and then all the work that you did you have to redo, which makes the assignment take that much longer. We want to kind of remedy that from the beginning, and this is the same way you'll draw anything. Starting sketching very lightly at first, and that way we're able to control where everything is before we start to define it. As you can see here, it's about the size I want it to be. It doesn't go off the page, and it's not too small. Once I am comfortable with the structure and size, I move to the blue pencil, or our darker medium. Although I will go darker, I want this part of the process to be about lightly adding specific visual characteristics of the character. This light approach allows us to work out any mistakes. I always start with the head of the character, the face of the character, because that's usually the most distinct characteristic of the character. If you start with the body or the feet, it could be anybody, but we want to make sure that we capture the essence of the character and starting with the most important portion of it. Once I've sketched the light specifics of the face, then I'll start moving down toward the body. And even though what I've started with are just kind of like little stick figure landmarks or placements, I'm now going to give them a little bit, not so much depth, but shape. Since there is no volume to it yet, it's just shape, which is the difference between something that is a form and a shape. And as you move as you move your way down through the body, remember you can always revisit areas because you will do that. You'll go and you'll get down to the legs and find that you missed something at the top and so forth. So feel comfortable to do that. Remember, this isn't a race. This is supposed to be enjoyable, therapeutic to be drawing. So if it seems like at the beginning it's a little frustrating because it doesn't look exactly like the person and so forth, I would say drawing somebody else's type of style is probably harder than just kind of doodling on your own or having the freedom to kind of like change the character a little bit. So this observational drawing can be a little bit frustrating even though it seems so simple, but just remember not to get frustrated with it. As you can see, I'm still not necessarily super dark. Everything is very much in that medium range. After I finish the feet here, you're going to see that it still doesn't seem finished because the contrast isn't very good. So when we're contrasting the value of the line and so forth, it's going to start coming out and become visually stronger. Once I'm happy with how the character is looking, then I can be more aggressive with my strokes, so I can start putting a little bit more pressure um, and then kind of darkening and contrasting the line and just bringing out the character more as I move through here. So feel free to start becoming more aggressive as you get to this point. The last thing, this is kind of optional. If there's a light source and the light source is coming from one direction, that means the other side will be a darker value or a darker shade. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep that pencil sharp, and then on that left side, everything furthest away from the sun is going to have a little bit of a hatch mark. This gives it a little bit more depth, a little bit more volume, and gives it more of a three-dimensional feel by throwing down cast shadows off the arms and just shadows on the areas that are furthest away from the light source. And as you move through the character and building up the contrast and building up the darkness of line, keep going, keep pushing until you get the final result that you're looking for.